I just noticed my kitty cat's little house is in the view right there, so. Oh goodness. All right, folks, what's happening? What's happening? Another Thursday night here in the hood, the neighborhood that is. Let a few folks get up here and get checked in, and we'll get started. Basically tonight, kind of what I want to do is go over a little bit of just basic carb tech, things that you should be checking yourself. The tools that you need to check it with, the tech kits that we sell, kind of go over them, what's in them, what everything is kind of used for, and also, for actual tech guys that, never really went through the proper training or has never been trained, just bought a tech kit and you want to become a tech guy. This is going to be kind of just a kind of a refresher course for some of the tech guys. That you can use this for, tech video training or whatever. But I'm just going to get into basic carb check, basic spring check, kind of how things are kind of done basically on Saturday night tracks. I'm not going to get into any type of what you need to be looking for in tech or ways to find things that people are doing. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just just going over a basic procedure. Going over the tools and how to use them is the biggest thing. 'Cause I see a lot of people in tech rooms that I've been in over the years. They have the proper tools. They know engines. They know things to look for. But sometimes they use the tools wrong or a little not the correct way that they're made. That they're made for and made to check with. But kind of go over some of that, and I'm hoping we won't be too long tonight. But I say that every show and wind up being an hour and a half. But I'm gonna do my best to be quick and easy tonight, just the way she likes it. All right. Yeah, we got enough people. Let's get started. All right. First of all, the tech kits that we sell. These are the basic tech kits right here that we sell. The heck is this? Landon's been in here and something stuck to the bottom of the box. Anyway, that's the part number on it. What basically comes in the kit, you'll get a dial indicator bracket that bolts to the top of a clone or a non-Hemi head. You'll get an actual dial indicator. This is the same ones that I use. Been using for quite a while. And I just tore the box. So whoever gets this kit, if the box is tore, is the one I used in the video. Because I will put this back on the shelf tomorrow. Well, like I say, it comes with a nice indicator. Same thing I use. And it also comes with all the little no-go gauges. Well, most of the little no-go gauges that you'll need for a basic engine tech. AKRA and NKA. Like I say, it don't come with everything like all the newest gauges that are out there, but these are the ones that are predominantly used everywhere. These are little pin gauges. This is for your, I'll go over in the rule book, what all the measurements are supposed to be and what these gauges are for. Like I say, this one is for the main jet. The main jet in AKRA is the maximum size it can be is 42 thousandths. I don't believe NKA has a max size, but I know AKRA is 42 thousandths. That's the one that's got the little marshmallow on it. That's what it's for, to check the main jet. Then you got this big one here is for the exhaust. I did not bring a muffler with me, but a few weeks ago when I was teching down in Jasper, I was using this, in the exhaust, and some people never seen exhaust get checked before, but that's something that needs to be checked in tech, because you can cheat up these mufflers and drill them a little bit bigger and get a little bit better flow. And and make a little more power. You know, the guy that usually checks there at Jasper, really good about checking stuff like this. I mean, it's hard to get stuff by him. You know, Chop, he's a really good tech guy. He knows what to check, how to look at it, because he's a builder himself. He's a really good tech guy in the area. And this is the no-go gauge for the E-tube. All right. Like I say, I'm going to use all these tools here in a minute, just kind of going over what's in it. And right here is all the no-go gauges for the inside of the carb, for the restrictor plates, for the valve seats, for both sides of the carb, inside, the venturi, the back side, and the plates, and like I say, the valve seats. And yes, there is checks on the valve seats. I won't do that tonight. We're just doing a basic carb tech tonight. Alright, now to get into how to use these things. Basically, what most tracks do on Saturday nights, they do, and this is something I talk to tracks a lot about, you know, they don't have to take an engine down to the bare block to, Wesley LeBlanc says, cheat it up. I've been thinking about doing a video on that, on what to cheat and how to cheat, but I just ain't figured out how to make it legit to where I don't get in trouble for it. But that might be coming soon, Wesley. Anyway, I tell local tracks, you don't have to tear them down to the bare block for 100% payback, 80% payback, even 500 to win. Do a basic carb check, basic lift check, duration, and springs. That's really all you need to check, you know, just local Saturday night stuff. But, you know, when you take the carb off, of course the bowl will come off, and the jet will come out the bottom. You know, your main jet, and, you know, here's the E-tube. All right, the first thing that you need to check on these carburetors, like again, I'm not going to go into what to look for on how to catch somebody cheating. I'm just going to show you the procedure and, you know, in the rule book where it says this. But the first thing when the carburetor comes apart, you know, the jet comes out, and that's where the little marshmallow pin gauge comes from. That's a 42 thousandths. Well, it's actually 42 and a half. You know, and this jet is supposed to be 42 thousandths. I went out there and got it out of my box a while ago. You know, and when you're using pin gauges, you know, like I say, there's only a half thousandths tolerance. If the jet is supposed to be maximum 42 thousandths, 99.9% of the time, the pin gauge is going to be 42 and a half or 42.4. It's going to be right there at it. You can force it through there. That's why there is a wrong way and a right way to do this. You know, you want to be as square and straight up as possible, and you just want to kind of just touch it. You know, you don't want to, I could possibly push this through here, but I'd mess up the gauge, and this has got to go back on the shelf tomorrow. But typically, I will check them from each side. You got your back side and your front side. You know, see this jet, it'll almost start in the front. Actually, I can put a little pressure to it, and it'll stick. Now, that's a judgment call there. Me, if it won't pass through the back, and it won't stick there, I'd let it go. But that's a judgment call on the tech guy. I could put a little pressure to it, you know, that is what it is. I'd let that go. That's no big deal to me. All right. They check the jet. Next thing you need to be looking at is the E-tube. This is the E-tube. All right. There's a visual on the E-tube. There's one thing you can look for that's very easy to catch. This is a stock E-tube. Notice the hole mainly right here and how many holes are on the side of it. There's quite a few. This is what's called a GX 140 E-tube. This is what a lot of people cheat with. It's the only thing I'm going to point out about cheating. But this is something that's very easy to catch. Number one, I need a pointer. How about an Allen wrench? Notice right here how big that hole is. It's huge. This is a stock one. You know, there's a minimum or maximum of that of 36 thousandths. That one is about 32. I drilled it that big on purpose just to show the difference in one that's, you know, pushing the legal limit, which is 36, and a GX 140. Very big. All right. Now, to check the E-tube, there is a 66 thousandths no-go. You know, I recommend if you ever buy one of these kits to go through, measure everything, read the instructions, and label what goes with what. That way, you're not guessing. This is the 66 thousandths no-go for the E-tube. All right, same thing. You know, you just want to lay it up there, and oh my goodness, look at that. I have an illegal E-tube here. That is what's called a go. This is a no-go gauge. It's not supposed to go through it. It's definitely not supposed to just fall through it like that. I literally just picked this up out the box and drilled that one hole out so you could see. I didn't check it before I left. I guess I should have, because this baby's illegal here. All right? That's not supposed to go through. That was not supposed to happen. The beauty of live TV. But either way, the same way. You just want to touch the top and just kind of just basically let the tool itself do the work. You don't want to put no pressure on it hardly from both sides. All right, this one's illegal. That wasn't supposed to happen, but either way, that's how you check the E-tube. Now, like I say, on the side, there is in the rule book, which, you know, I've showed my version of the rule book in here several times. I highlight stuff. I go through the rule book, and where it says certain things, I highlight it. So when we get to the tech room, where does it say that? Right here. I can point it out. Like I say, the E-tube, you know, right here, 66 max, no go. Right there. But back to the 140 E-tube, the center of those is much, much bigger. It's got a bigger hole up top. It's got less holes on the side. See on the side? And it's about a 75 thousandths hole through the center. So it's going to go straight through. Oh, crap. My mom was watching. See, now I got nervous because my mom was watching. I got to have my correct grammar and proper enunciation, or else she'll get on to me. All right, E-tube's done. That one's cheated up. And not to get my parts from Jody. I'll sell you what you want. You want it legal, you want it illegal. I work for Mr. Benjamin. Whatever he tells me to do, that's what I do. All right, then after they check the E-tube, you know, they visually look at the carburetor. So we've been grinding on it, but any grinding work you do down here really doesn't help anything, but it's still illegal if you do it. Then they got to go right here. This is the choke tube, or the choke shaft. Now I've seen, see, I got nervous when Mom was watching. I've seen a lot of people in the tech room use needle nose pliers and just snatch those out. That's one way of getting them out, but it also can cause damage to the butterfly. It can bend it, warp it, which causes flow problems. If you know you grab this with a pair of pliers and tweak it out, it can twist it, and they'll put it back in, and it can cause flow problems. Minor, but it still causes them. Something I've done, which I don't have here, I've taken a very small screwdriver, and I'll sharpen the end almost to a blade, and then you can push it up beside the between the shaft and the butterfly. I'm having to use a small knife because Landon was in my shop and had my screwdriver the other day working on his little car, and I've yet to find it. That was 3 days ago, so I'm having to use a knife. You can use some type of blade, small screwdriver that's sharpened, and just push it up there beside the butterfly. It'll slide in there. That's a 2-piece shaft, and the butterfly goes through the center of it. Just kind of put it up in there. Then you can get a pair of needle nose, grab the blade, both blades, and it'll come right out. No problem. You know, either way you get it out is fine, but if you use pliers, you see a tech guy using pliers, always inspect your butterfly before you put it back in, because if it's twisted or warped or bent, it can cause flow problems and slow the air down your carburetor and make you lose a little power. Alright, but the best way to do it is slide some blade in it, then grab it with the needle nose, and it comes right out, and no problem. It barely even scratches it. Alright, choke tube comes out. Now, like again, this is a basic tech. I don't have the gauges to go in there and measure where the how far the E-tube comes up. I don't have them here at my house. I've got them, but they're not here. There is a gauge that goes in there that measures how high the E-tube is in the carburetor. We're not doing that tonight. We're doing basic. In your little bag of goodies, you will have 615 no-go gauge. That's what the venturi of the carburetor is 615. I should have laid these out a little better before I got started, huh? Well, where'd it go? I know it's right here somewhere. Here it is. All the little gauges, you know, have stamps in them. I know you're not going to be able to see that. Do a Redbeard's garage trick here. How about that? You can't see it. There it is. It says 615 on it. That's what the venturi through the center of the carburetor, that's the maximum it can be, is 615. And of course, this gauge is going to be just a touch over that. It's like that for a reason. A no-go gauge is always bigger than the actual measurement that it needs to be. This gauge is 615 and a half. I don't know if y'all can see that or not there. Anyway. Alright. Now, this is where a lot of people mess up on carburetors that I've seen. You know, they'll get like this and they'll wiggle it around or move it around. Proper way to check these carburetors is basically lay it on a table and go straight down with it. And just touch it, pick it up, touch it, pick it up, touch it, and just rotate it all the way around. You know, because this carburetor is a legal carburetor. But there's one little area, depending on how this carburetor is cut, that might have a little bit of a bump there in the bottom. And if you really working it around like I'm doing here, you can make it, well, I've done it 15 times in the shop today. It probably ain't going to do it here on live. There you go. That is illegal. But if the gauge sticks in there like that, to me, that's another judgment call. I would toss it if I done it right. But see, I wiggled that around in there and I made it go in there. This thing is tapered, and if you do it just right, it will fit in there in certain areas. But the proper way it's supposed to be done is just up and down, just straight up and down, and basically let the gauge do all the work, let the weight of the gauge do the work. Because you're only dealing with a little less than half a thousandths bigger on the gauge, and you wiggle it around, she'll go in there and stick just about every time. There you go. So, weight of the gauge, that's all you do. I've seen tech guys sit down here like this. You know, it's not the tech guy's job to prove you're cheating. It's the tech guy's job to make sure everybody's on a level playing field. There are some tech guys out there, not going to name any names, they hadn't teched in quite a while, I'm talking just several years ago, that were just out to find people. You know, something about having their wife sew a patch on their shirt that says Tech Man just went to their head and they thought they were somebody. A big name come through or a big name engine builder, they're going to prove them wrong. And with these gauges and the right know-how, you can prove it wrong if you use them wrong. But that's why I'm doing this, to show people, you know, right and wrong. You know, there's a lot of good tech guys out there now. You know, Tri-State Series, the Burr Series, you know, Dogwood Speedway, Patriot. You know, all these big tracks around here, they've got big crowds, like the Tri-State Series, Burr Series, like I say, all these Jasper, you know, they get big cart counts because they got good tech guys. They know that when they go to the tech room, these guys know how to use these tools. They're well educated, and they're in there to prove everybody right. You know, some of the smaller tracks out there got real good tech guys also. I have people call me all the time, ask me questions on how to use this. And I've actually went to tracks, you know, and helped people learn how to use these tools. But, you know, right way and the wrong way to do everything. And all I'm doing is just trying to show everybody the right way here. All right, after we check the venturi, which is the center, you know, up and down, up and down. You know, you'll have some carburetors that'll have maybe a little bump in it, but the way I was showed, which was, you know, by Mr. Jimmy Sims himself, was if you feel a bump on it and you feel it kind of falling in the bump, turn the carburetor up. If the gauge falls out, you're fine. If the gauge sticks, you're done. All right. Then, once we get done with the venturi, there is no tech on the low-speed jet. You can run what you want. But there is a tech on the back side of the carburetor. And that tech is a 751 no-go. Also, right here. It's all stamped on it. Same thing. What you're doing is you're checking the back side of the carburetor, to make sure it's not too big, because people work on all this stuff and they get it to the max. They're not supposed to be working on, the back side, but people do. I do. I'm not going to lie, because that's what I'm paid to do. I'm paid to get the best out of what I'm working with. And if I'm not working on this area back here, then I'm not doing what I'm getting paid to do. Same thing. And you can actually see this gauge. You just up and turn, and just let the gauge itself do the work. Like I say, I can work this sucker in here and almost make it stick, but that's not how it's worked. All right, like I say, that is the basic no-go test for the carburetor. That's all you check. I mean, there's other things that they've got gauges out for now, but we're doing a basic Saturday night check. Like if you look inside the carburetor, let me get out my official handyman Batman flashlight. If you look in the carb, you'll see a small ridge in there behind the butterfly. That's the shelf that is behind the venturi. There's actually measurements on how deep that can be. There's a gauge for that, but I've used standard handheld dial calipers. Is this the most accurate way to do it? No, but you can check your carb just to make sure that you're within spec. There's a gauge on that, and let me make sure I tell you right on that, because I just had a brain fart on what that can be. $750 thousandths. That's what I thought it was, but anyway, you can use caliper, but there is a gauge. There's a flat side of the caliper right here. Make sure that goes down and pushes all the way back and touches that ridge. Touch that ridge, then bring your calipers in and touch the carburetor. Like I say, this is not the most accurate way to do it, but it will get you to find out if you're close. I'm sorry, that's not 750. Dang, I just had a complete... Yes, that is 750. I was right. This one's only 550. So this one's, this is a bone stock carburetor here. But hit that ridge and just check, just to make sure you're close. Yeah, actually it's 700. I'm sorry, I read wrong. But anyway, then once you check your no-goes and your depth and all that stuff, they're gonna take the butterfly out of it. Standard Phillips screwdriver. Butterfly comes out. I don't feel like taking that out. I'm being lazy tonight. But here's a butterfly. You got measurements on that. And you can measure that with standard calipers. The butterfly can be no thinner than 37 thousandths. Most of them, right out of a stock carburetor, is around 39 thousandths. Got in 39 and a half. Just simply just measure each side of it. That side, and then that side. 39,000. Well, that's 40. That's a little bigger on one side. Throttle shaft. They will visually inspect to see if it's been, machined. Some folks can machine them and cover them up. Some folks can't. But maximum or the minimum thickness of the butterfly right here is 115 thousandths. This is a 116 and a half. This is a pretty good throttle shaft here. But I always measure mine in 3 or 4 places just to make sure that, because sometimes they can get a little thin down here around the screw. That is 115 and a half there by the screw. All right, simple measurements. Anybody can do this. No big deal. Now, throttle screw also has a measurement on it. I think the minimum on it is 305 thousandths. Yep, 305 thousandths. Now these can be tricky to measure. Because when you put them in and take them out with a Phillips screwdriver, you can actually twist them and make some of the metal rise up on it. So you have to measure these kind of be, and you can't file them down. You got to be real careful, if you take something and touch that down, because they see scratch marks on it, or sand marks, or a file mark, they're gonna throw you out, because it's compared to a non-stock part. But there is long bolts out there and there's short bolts. I've found very few that's below 305 that come out of an actual carburetor. I get a lot of them, that's around 310, 308. In fact, this one here is 310 dead on. This would be a really good bolt. I go through my bolts, and when I'm building carburetors, a few I have there, and 312, maybe 314 is the longest I'll use, but I like to get these 310s and 308s. You want these as short as possible. Also, you cannot cut on them. You can't, grind this side to make it what length you want, because they'll also look at that, compared to a non-stock part. And there's a lot of people that try to cut these things and make them look stock. Some people can, some people can't. But you just go through a few bolts, and like I say, 315, 316, that's just a few thousandths, and that extra bit, like I say, might be from where you took the screwdriver and have metal picked up on it. So if you got one that you think's a little long, just kind of, take a fine file, and just barely and knock that little edge down, but don't leave no marks on it, because if you leave marks on it, it can't get tossed out. And then remeasure it, and then make sure it's the length you want. But like I say, anything 315 or under is going to be good for a carb. I've seen some as much as like 330. They're like this long. They're huge. But then again, this one come out of the engine the other day, straight from the China factory. 253. It come out of a stock carburetor. This is why you got to check this stuff, because any carburetors you buy from us that, or DJ models, they've been checked. The DJ 2224, that's our pro style carb. That carb has been, the 2.5s and the 2.4, but the 2.4s especially, they're all hand built by me. So all this stuff is measured. So when you get one of those carbs, you can rest assured that it's going to go through tech. It's got, the thinnest butterflies, it's got the thinnest throttle shafts, all the screws are, down to, 310, 308, 311. But this is why just getting a stock carburetor and rejetting it sometime isn't the best thing to do, because, that would have got you right there. Are you cheating? No. Technically you're not, because you didn't know, because you didn't measure. All right, but like I say, that's a basic carb tech. That honestly would take somebody less than 10 minutes. And, that's not including putting the carb back together, because typically when I check a carb like that, I'll reassemble it so that all their parts are there. But I tell them, you might want to make sure that the E-tube's in it the way you want it, or whatever. But that's really all they are for carb tech, as far as basic. There's other things that you can do and that you need to be looking for, but that's a little more advanced, and it gets into the to the building side of it, and will, I don't want to get into the building side, because that messes with, engine builders, which are dealers of ours. So I'm not going to do that on here. I'm just going to show you basic stuff just to check. Let me look at a couple of questions here, if they are. Yeah, Chop's got this same light. I really thought about taking this the other night when I was taking it Jasper, just to see what people would say. Yeah, Penton Speedway. I was trying to think of that a while ago. I know I got a UAS race over there this weekend. I've been having some really bad brain farts here lately. They say once you hit 40, it's all downhill from there, and I think your mind's the first thing to go. Let's see. Yeah, y'all like my shirt? Yeah, that's the truth right there. One of my idols growing up. All right, let's see here. All right, now basic spring tech. Like I say, I've done in a few other videos of mine showing you how to check lift, how to check duration. That's also done in tech. Go through those same procedures. Checking the lift, checking it on the retainer, One thing I will say about checking the lift on the retainer, it says in the rule book, and one of the things that, you know, I've got highlighted, like I say, all that is quick reference. You know, my whole book is like that. And I tell some people those are gray areas, but they're not gray areas. That's just highlights, you know, so I can find stuff easily. But when you're checking the lift on one of these engines, and your max lift on the intake is 238 thousandths, it says in the rule book that you check it the way it's run on the racetrack. You do not. Years ago, we would reset the lash to 0, but they changed that now, and it says in the rule book that you check it as run. Well, actually, it says as raced, but you know, page 50, right there, in the 2018 AKR&A rule book. We check it as raced, and let's just say, you know, it's supposed to be 238 max, and you roll it, and it's like 239. All right, don't DQ him right there, because in the rule book it says that you can spin the rocker 2 times, up to 2 times, to make sure that everything is parallel. Well, well, holy snot! I know it's in here. Oh, that's on the wrong page. Anyway, so technically you can check up to 2 times max, which means you got that, and when you put the dial indicator on top of the retainer for checking lash or checking lift, the dial indicator sitting on top of the retainer, you know, like this. What the heck is that? Piece of fuzz. Alright, you check your lift, and it comes up 1/1000ths over. Alright, you take your dial indicator off, you reach in there with either your fingers or a pair of pliers and twist it about 90 degrees. Reset your dial indicator, check it again. Actually, once it's set up, you're not supposed to move it. I'm sorry, don't move your dial indicator. But once the dial indicator is set up, you check it. If it's wrong, you reach in there with a pair of pliers or underneath it with your finger and spin it 90 degrees. Recheck it. It comes up 0.5 over, check it again. Why is my phone going dark? Anyway, it just went dark for some reason. But you can turn it up to twice, which means you check it, actually, you can check it up to 3 times. But that's something that a lot of tech guys have overlooked in these books, of checking it, number 1, as raced, and number 2, you get a couple of turns. Guys running negative lash, which is called preload. Don't know what to tell you. I guess it is just my eyes. I've got some bad contacts in, so my screen just darkened up, it looked like. But yeah, the guys that's running preload on their lash, it is what it is. I mean, that's why, you know, you check stuff at your shop before you go to the track. You know, check it cold, get it hot, and recheck it, because, you know, you're only going to have, you know, 20-30 minutes sometimes after tech for the engine to cool, and it's not going to get all the way cold. It's still going to be pretty warm. But that's why you check things. That's why it's important to have one of these tech kits, so that you can check this stuff. Even if you've got, you know, a builder that builds your stuff, you know, it still doesn't hurt to check this stuff every once in a while, because these rocker arms can wear. And I've seen several instances where you set the lift at a certain amount, and after 4 or 5 races, because of, you know, valve float and stuff, I've seen the lash actually, the lift actually grow on it. So if it's set, you know, dead on, you know, max is 238, and you set it at 236 with, you know, 1/1000ths preload. If it floats the valves, there's a chance that rocker can wear, and wear in the right place, and that thing will gain 1/1000ths or so. And then you got preload, then you could be illegal. But that's why you buy the kits, and that's why you check this stuff. A little off topic there, but anyway, all right. Valve springs. Basic valve spring check. When they take the valve springs off, this is the dead weight checker that we use. It'll have, you check the springs at two different heights. You check it at 10.8 pounds at 850 thousandths, and then there's another check for, what did I say, 10.8 at 850 thousandths, and it's got to be 18 pounds at 650 thousandths. So they're called 10.8 valve springs because when we first started running these clone engines several years ago, this was the only check they had was 10.8. Now there's actually two, 10.8 at 850, 18 pounds at 650. And the way this mojo works, in case some of y'all have never seen this, is using actual dead weights. They're not alive, they're dead. Trust me. They take the spring off, and the first check that they do should be a wire diameter check, which is 71 thousandths. Once again, standard dial calibers are fine. Make sure everything is zeroed out. And they just check it. Alright, these are 71 and a half. If I move it, it goes off. 71 and a half. These springs are fine. Alright. Now, another one of the checks that it has to pass is, we'll go 10.8 first. The spring must slide over this pole under its own weight, meaning it can't stick anywhere. It's got to, when they put it over it, it's got to go straight down. All right, we're going to do the 10.8 check at 850 thousandths. I have seen many tech guys take this weight and drop it. That's not right. You take the weight and you lower it down onto the spring slowly. Let go, you push down, and you let go. Some people can sit here and do this. Oh, that bounces. All right, well, let's look at it. The spring must be, you can shine a light under here, and I know you're not going to be able to see this. You shine a light to the back side, and it must have 360 degrees of light to be deemed illegal. If anywhere on the side of it is touching where there's no light, it's legal. You know, I've seen springs before that, you hear that sound? This spring is illegal. That's the whole reason I brought it. It does not pass a 10.8 check. It's a brand new spring. It was, overweight, but good to show. So that right there should be your first guess, or first, sign of it being illegal. But I have heard springs do that before, that when you shine a light under it from the backside and look through it, that there was one small little area touching, and they had to deem it legal. So make sure that they're doing it both ways. You can hear it bounce and see the light 360 degrees, and it says that in the rule book. Light must be visible in its entirety at 360 degrees to disqualify the spring, page 51. Alright, then, let's just say it, don't text me during my video, y'all know I'm on the air. Let's say it passed the 10.8 check. Alright, we're going to take that off, we're going to put the 650 on it. Now, you use the 10.8 weight and the smaller weight to go on the top. Same thing. You lower it down slowly, push down, let go. This one's really illegal. No need to shine a light under that. I mean, when you can see it move like that, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. But still, you'll want to see 360 degrees of light all the way around it with your official Batman light. Alright. These springs will be for sale tomorrow for $25 for anybody that wants them. Just call up and ask for David Simpson, and he'll have no idea what you're talking about. Alright, and like I said, the spring must pass, what I call the pole dancer test. And we're going to check a spring that I know will pass the dead weight check, but it don't slide down the pole. She ain't making no money tonight because she ain't sliding down the pole. All right, if that right there, you're done. You know, some guys, I know I do, and sorry to admit this, but I do everything I can in the tech room to help people prove that they're legal. I'll take WD-40 and I'll put on this. Is that legal? Don't know. Probably shouldn't have told y'all that, but I do what I do. That won't help that spring. I'm sorry. That spring, you know, will fail either way. You have to really put some pressure on to slide it down. But we're going to push her on down the pole so she can gather her some dollars tonight. 10.8 weight at 850. All right. To me, as far as you need to go, it passed. And there's no bouncing. You know, you shine the light, it's going to be dead on it all the way around. That one's 100% legal on the dead weight, but it failed that. But we're going to go on just to show you, you know, 650. Oh, she failed again. Yeah, that one's on there. It won't even knock down. All right. Both the weights, slide down slowly. Push down. 100% legal spring. No reason to go on. No reason to even shine the light, but some people will still do it. That is all there is to the dead weight check. Like I say, you got 3 checks. You got pole slider, and you got the 10.8 at 850 using the 10.8 weight, 18 pounds at 650 using both the weights. They pass that. Some tracks go on to a different check, which is also in the rule book, which is the height and width gauge. Now this gauge, the way it works is you actually put the spring inside of the gauge. And what this does is it measures the width of the spring. It must fit inside the gauge. It's measuring the width right here in the center to make sure everything is, you know, within the limits there. And then you take this 1/4 inch stock right here, lay the spring on the side, and it must not pass through the coils. Now, in the rules it says it may pass through one side, which this spring does. It falls right in there. The rules state that as long as one side does not go in, the spring is good. That spring there is good. One side don't go in, the other side does. Now, just to show you what other springs will do, this is a red stripe spring from Dyno Cams here. We sell these. These are the DJ 1055. No, that's a straight from Dyno spring there. I'm sorry. This is one of the green stripe springs here. Alright, put it in the gauge. Side to side is good. It goes right in, no problem. And remember the other one side passed through. This one, neither side will pass through. That's just some of the differences in the springs and the way to check them. But this gauge isn't used a whole lot, and I don't know why. Because to me, you know, you can have a spring that will pass this, but fail this, and the spring will be illegal. That's why, you know, this is a gauge that. What the heck happened there? This is a gauge that you have to buy from, I believe Lewis Stout has these. Larry Jones, you know, I believe has these also. But these come out, you know, several years ago, and it is in the rule book about them. Chicken spring, yada, 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 yada. Still on page 51 here. Yeah, it's right below, you know, you do your dead weight checker up here. The thing about the square gauge and the 250 thousandths stock is right here below it on page 51 of your 2018 book. But, you know, these two gauges combined is going to guarantee you 99.9% of the time that everybody's on good legal springs. A lot of people complain about this dead weight checker. mainly because a lot of people has been using them wrong. I used to use them wrong. I would used to put the spring up there. I wouldn't drop it, but the way I used to check them years ago was I just put it up there, and a lot of springs would fail. I'm like, well, dang, every one I put up here is illegal. Then Mr. Jimmy Sims, showed me, said, you're doing that wrong. So you're supposed to push down on it, let it go. And I would do that, and most of the springs that failed would pass, So just make sure if y'all get these gauges that, right way and the wrong way to do everything. There's nothing in this business, whether it's building engines, building carbs, doing tires, mounting tires, cutting tires, there's a right way and a wrong way. And then somewhere kind of in the middle is, my way, but everybody needs to lean more toward the right way of doing things, especially when it comes to rules and these gauges that we use in the tech room. You need to make sure that they're being used the way it's described in this book, the way Bill McCutcheon and the guys at AKRA and all the guys at NKA. And there's some differences in the NKA and AKRA rules. That's something I didn't really go over, but they all use the same basic procedures. You can use most of these tools on either or. Most of the main rules about the carburetor is they don't have a maximum main jet size, which that machine just come on over there. We have an elliptical sitting over there, and it just came on for some reason. The cat must be on it. But anyway, most of the rules kind of mirror each other, but this basic procedure I just showed you tonight will get you, through most any tech room in the country, if you check your stuff right, and but another big topic, I'm gonna go over this one more thing right here. How do I keep my dead weight so clean? It's used every day. Every day. It's used many times a day. This thing has got indentions in it where springs have been touching it. But I just keep it wiped down with WD-40. Like I said, I use it every day, and just take, I got a shop rag that lays over there, just spray with WD-40, and it lays there all the time. And when I get done using it, I just wipe it off. But this kit here is, man, this dead weight checker is 7, if not 8 years old. I know it's at least 7 years old. But it's used every day and is wiped down. Maintenance is important on everything. Another hot topic when it comes to these gauges and stuff, no-go gauges, is restrictor plates. So I'm going to go over this, and I'm probably going to be done, to be honest with you. Oh, I got one more thing I want to talk about. But, typical restrictor plates, I brought some out here. These are plates that we make. I did not bring a green, but I got a red, blue, and a purple. In this kit, you also have gauges that check these plates. Of course, the blue one is, a 500. Blue one is a 550. Purple is 500. Green is 425. And red is 375. Alright, since I got a red plate here, I got a 375 gauge. It's marked on there clearly. Here comes the cat. Amazing Landon hadn't come in here tonight. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, same thing. You want to lay the plate down, take your gauge, and because the reason you got to be really careful with these, because if you force these down, I've seen some tech guys sit them down and spin them. Please don't do that. That's one way of checking it to make sure that everything is equal, but what it does is when you set it down and spin it, there's a possibility it could crack the anodizing on the side of it. And if a tech guy gets a plate that this in here was stowed out one night. I don't even know if y'all can see that or not. This plate was stowed out one night because you barely can see some chips around him. It barely. And they said it had been worked on. But what had happened was this plate had been checked, and somebody set the gauge down on it, and they spun it. And it chipped some of the anodize on it. It might pass your check, but if they put that plate back on an engine, and they go to another track, And a certain, you know, some tech guys, they see those chips, they're like, that's been worked on, I got to throw it out. They're going to get thrown out because you use this gauge wrong. You spun it. You pick up, you set down. You pick up, you set down. You know, you don't want to chip in this anodize on it. You don't want to be the reason that somebody gets thrown out at the next race. You know, but the color on these things, you know, tech guys look for, you know, chips, especially in this area. You know, if it's chipped up here around the edges, you know, because of rocks hitting it, you know, there's some chips on this one, you know, where I actually dropped it. You know, that's no big deal, you know, but what they're looking for is chips around the actual opening of the hole in it for the air. But same thing, pick up, set down, pick up, set down. Now, one thing I've seen, I feel like I'm getting on the tech guys here. Now, I'm really not. I'm wanting to make sure that all this is, you know, your stuff's done right when it goes to the track, and that the tech guys that really don't know can know. I've seen a lot of tracks, and holy crap, Chop's watching me now, so now I got to be really specific. The tech guy that checks me is watching now. I've seen a lot of tech guys, not you, Chop. You always check properly and very, very well. You're the best in the country. Checks in the mail, baby. Is when they want to check a restrictor plate, they'll just shine the light up in there. They'll look at the side of it and see it hanging out below the carburetor, and they'll shine the light up in the carburetor and say, yep, there's a plate in there. Okay, how do you know it's the right size? You know, these things are anodized. You know, and what's saying that the guy that built this engine or owns the cart don't have some type of machine shop with an anodizing station in it? What's to say that they didn't strip this thing down, add 10 thousandths to it of the hole, and re-anodize it? It happens, people. It happens every single day. This is racing. A lot of people, including myself, has put the will to win above common sense sometimes. You know, these are kids. You know, you shouldn't be cheating these people up. This come in on an engine of mine here a while back. This is a purple plate. This is a legal purple plate. This come in on one of my engines. Come back from the track this way. Yeah, we've been skinning them, man. We've been tearing them up. Really? You know, I mean, this, yeah, you shine a light up in there, you're going to see this, no doubt. They're doing a good job with the side of it, too. I mean, they rolled it in and all. It was really good. But this is, you know, this don't happen a lot. I mean, I don't know what this guy was thinking. I crawled his butt for this, but either way, what's to stop these people from stripping them down, you know, like I say, and adding 10, 15 thousandths to it? It's going to look fine with your eye, but, you know, do like Chop does and always check them. He always checks them. Here he comes.
Say the train.
He brought me a train track. Look at there. All right, you got to get up so everybody can see you, buddy.
Say, where's the train?
Where's the train?
I don't know where
All right. Everybody got to see you. He got a haircut the other day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Don't push that button, no.
Hey.
He said, bye, Felicia. All right, but you check the plates. You know, even when you buy them from people, you know, we make these plates, but, you know, we're human, and we make mistakes. You know, check our work. You know, not saying we're perfect on everything we do, but use the gauges, check them, make sure you put it on there. If you buy them from somebody, buy them from somebody at the track, borrow one at the track, you got your own gauges, check them. But tech guys need to be checking the plates, you know, not just shining a light up in there. Yeah, I don't like this Chop watching me. I don't like that at all. The guy that actually checks me is watching me now. Anyway, I'll buy you a hamburger next race. That's kind of in a nutshell all I really want to go over tonight. Just showing people, you know, what a basic Saturday night, you know, carb check, plate check, and, you know, spring check is. You know, and go over some of the tools in the kit. I recommend everybody gets one of these kits. I mean, they're $140, something like that. I mean, but they'll last you basically the rest of your life. You know, the spring height gauges, the dead weight gauges, I believe can still be bought from Box Stock Project. I believe Lewis Stout still has them, and Larry Jones has them. Larry Jones has a tech kit also. You know, you can buy your tech kit, you know, from us, and there's other people out there that's got them, but it helps to have one if you're going to be building engines. You know, if you're just building something for fun, go out in your backyard, put this kind of stuff on it, you know. But if you're going to go to sanctioned events where there's rules and stuff like that, then I'm not naming whose plate this was, but he's probably watching tonight. So, yeah, I still got it. This has been like almost a year ago. I still got it. It sits on my desk almost every day. But these kits are fairly inexpensive for what you get. I mean, these are well built, you know, quality, you know, gauges and stuff. And if you're gonna build your own engines, you kind of need this stuff, you know, to check to make sure that, you know, when you get to, you know, Jasper, or you get to Valdosta Speedway here, or, you know, Dirt Devils or Callahan, where Mr. Chop is taking, that you know your stuff's right and he's not gonna catch you. Just want to make sure that, you know, this is supposed to be a fun sport and everybody's having fun, and your fun's not spoiled because you failed to check something on an engine that you built before you got to tech. Really, not many excuses for it. You know, we got rule books available. We're available basically 24 hours a day. You can ask us questions all the time. You know, call us up, shoot us an email, Facebook, whatever. You know, if you got any questions or any doubts about anything, we can, if not help you, lead you in the right direction. But I know I saw some questions under here. I've honestly never, Jeff, I've never heard of Keith Rowe Racing Motors. You know, if a lot of good builders out there, just because I've never, you know, technically heard of them, don't mean it's not good. Now everybody's jumping on Chop. Alright. Answered how they, okay. I got a couple of builders on here tonight. Randy Taylor's in the house. Taylor Power. Built some really good stuff out of East Georgia over there. Real good engines. Yeah, this is actually a AKRA, NKA approved and calibrated Batman Tech Light. You can get these, you know, straight from me. They're $150 a piece, and they will come with a stamp of approval that I approved it. Sunday morning springs. I'll send these springs to you, Jeff. I mean, Steve, sorry. Flathead. Alright, well, like I say, that's about the gist of it. Tim Harrell, another good engine builder here in the house now. Tim Harrell Racing Engines. Built some really good stuff. He's been doing it a long time. I think they're going to the Big O next weekend. Good luck to y'all up there. But depends on whose rules you're looking at there, Tim. But the AKRA book, when it comes to where is it at? But when it comes to checking your lash and stuff like that, it is done as raced. You know, so if you're running 0 lash, then it's already zeroed out. If you're running, you know, 5,000 lash, the way it comes off the racetrack is the way they're supposed to check lift. I do believe NKA is the same way. It is as raced, I believe. The red cup, I guess it's in the kitchen in there. Doing some I hate to even say this word, and Tom, I know you from the state of Florida, but Gatorade, that's just, the word gator to me just kind of burns as it comes out. Kind of like eating too much Mexican food. Dale, I'm not going to make it to Penton this weekend. I'm sorry. The series is going to be there. I got my guy KT. He'll be there. He'll be running the show. I had a previously planned getaway with my family this weekend. KT's going to be there with the Georgia UAS series. Going to be in Penton, Alabama this weekend. Penton Speedway in Lafayette, Alabama, just across the Georgia line. Great racetrack, great facility. Heard nothing but good things from him. I got a good tech guy over there also, but I'm actually not going to be there this weekend. We had a trip already planned when the race was moved, but I got my number 2 over there, and he's gonna run the show and knows what he's doing actually a little bit better than I do. So y'all in good hands. But you've got my number, Dale. If you need anything, feel free to call me or text me during the day. I'll be available. Just because I'm away don't mean I'm not available. Alrighty then. I feel like I'm going. Preston, I'm sitting down in a chair. How do I look taller on camera? I've actually had that said to me several times. People meet me in like at a show or at a track or something like that. And, hey, I've watched your videos. You look taller on TV. I'm sitting in a chair. How do I look taller on TV? I don't get it. But appreciate you watching though, Preston. That's Preston Sparks. You know, I call him Payday Preston because he's one of the hottest drivers in the South right now. He's won everything there is to win around here this year. Boy's on fire, and I do believe he'll be at the Big O again this year. So good luck to y'all up there, Preston. Hope you go up there and bring it home. Do I sell illegal e-tubes? I'll sell anything you want. How illegal do you want it? I think I said earlier, the tech kit's around $130, $140, maybe $150. I'm not very good with prices. I know part numbers, but they're online. Part number CT100. It sounds like a motorcycle from back in the day, don't it? A CT100. Funny. Y'all some hilarious people. Bradley Bush says he's been accused of cheating with his JPR race engines. That's one of my engines. Bradley, I pray somebody tears you down. That way you got to send it back to me for a rebuild. You know, you've only been running it for a year and a half. You know, it's time to come back. It's time to come back, Bradley. That's pretty much everything right there. All right, folks. Kind of got it. A Predator tech kit. Unless the Predator is being run under AKRA rules, there is no tech kit for it. I do believe that I think Lewis Stout has the brackets. Either Lewis Stout or Jones, Larry Jones Racing has the brackets that goes on the Hemi head, because this won't work on the Hemi head. It will work on a non-Hemi head, but not the Hemi, because it's shaped different. But there really is no tech kit for a Predator, because the Predator is not legal to run in AKRA or NKA because it's a bigger engine. I've got a video on that I've done almost 2 years ago probably that shows you the difference between the 196 and the 212. You know, a Predator is not a clone. I think that's what it's called. Predator is not a clone, because it's not. A clone is a copy of the GX200, which is 196 cc's, and the Predator is 212. Bigger piston, longer stroke, bigger valves, bigger engine. But because of that, there really is no tech kit for it, but you can use these brackets to check lift and stuff like that on. Clarence wants to know pilot jet and main needs to start out on alcohol. What size carb? It's going to depend, you know, on the size of your Venturi, whether it's a 615, a 625, a 675. It's going to depend on, you know, what cam you're using, what kind of head work you've done. But typically you're going to be somewhere on the smaller Venturis, like the 615 carbs, you're going to be somewhere around a 52 to a 55 on the main jet, up to 58 to a 59 on a 675. Low speeds, they're going to vary from about a 28 to a 30 on the low side for the smaller carb, and the 675 is going to be, you know, a 30 to a 32 probably. But you're going to have to raise the timing also. The timing is going to need to be somewhere around 34 to 36 degrees, maybe 34 to 35 with methanol. But a lot of variables on it. You can give me a call. Not tomorrow because I won't be at work tomorrow. I'll be at the beach tomorrow. I am not going to work tomorrow. I'm taking a day off, whether y'all like it or not. But we will, just get with me and we can talk about carburetors and I can go over some jets and stuff with you. All right, that looks like all the questions I got. Anyway, any other questions? After the show, I try to go back and look at everything because I can't see. If you break in the rod in Predators, then you're not, obviously they're not clearanced right, or they're not torqued right, or you're running them way outside the RPM range. I've got several Mars style Predators out, in the Oklahoma, Missouri and Arkansas area that run the stock Predator rods in them, and they turn them, 67, 68, 69, even 7,000, and don't have no problem with the stock rods. But just like a billet rod, any rod you put in this engine is going to need to be clearanced. Proper clearancing, is a must to make it live. I mean, the stock clearance that it comes with, 1.5, thousandths, that's fine for a generator. It's going to crank up and run 3,600 RPMs all day long. You crank this engine up to, 6,000, 6,500, that rod is going to flex, because of the added stress to it. And that little oil clearance is not allowing enough oil to get in there and lubricate it. It gets hot, it galds up, it sticks, then it breaks. So you need to open up the clearances on the rod a little bit to, around 3,500, between 3 and 3.5. And that's usually where I set most of my stock rods, is between 3 and 3.5. And billet rods, I typically settle right on 3. They don't, they got a forced oil dipper and stuff. They can get oil in there a little bit better. But the stock one's 3.5 or 3 to 3.5, and follow, torque specs of 120, and shouldn't have no problem with them. But most of the time when rods like that break, they're not clearanced properly, or you're running them way outside their RPM limit, which, 6,800 to 7,000 isn't unheard of with these Predators, but above that, you get up around 74, 75, they don't last long. But anyway, I can't always see the questions on here, so I usually go back after as always and answer them. But any other questions y'all have on this, want to talk to somebody, feel free to give us a call at the office, 800-521-3560, and drop us a line, here on Facebook, through Messenger, customer service at arcracing.com. Other than that, I appreciate y'all stopping by. Appreciate y'all acting like y'all paid attention, and appreciate you watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a safe weekend at the races if y'all go, and safe travels, and catch y'all next time. Bye, Felicia.